says, oh, that's an alias. So now the alias k is an alias for clock set modifier of k player 1 multiply. So every time I type k, it will actually read clock.set modifier k player 1 multiply. So basically it's setting the modifier of k player 1 multiply, and I get the value. So k1 says that it's multiply 1, it's exact time, k2 it's twice as fast, k05 it's twice as slow. And basically the track at the bottom, that's what they do. They call the k, which is an alias in the command. So it's calling k with the value that I computed above. So those are aliases. So we can actually go back to args itself. If I close this, this as well, bounce also, yeah. If we go to args.ini, and if is there a console, there's no console. So let's create a console, and let's create an alias called p, or yeah, prof. Call it prof, and prof will do set render show profiler. So you see that it's an alias for another alias which is set, but it also takes default parameters. The parameters will be render and show profiler. So this alias prof will execute the command set, the alias set, with the parameter render and show profiler. So it's an alias for the world thing. So now when I run,
So I can have a debug on and a debug off.
exactly, you can have, like, that's exactly how it works. So like if I run it here, there now should be a prof. See, you can see that if I say what is prof, prof says actually set value. Yeah, me too. That's why I put aliases. Like so, and you can see that it actually completes. So if I type p, it says, oh yeah, it might be prof. So now if I say prof 1, it will turn the profiler 1 on, and if I say prof 0, it turns the profiler off. And you can create any aliases you want like this. So that's very handy. So yeah, so if you want the same thing for physics and you want to call it D, you can say set physics show debug, and now if we run the game, we can get the debug of the physics by just executing D1, and we have the physics. And now if we execute D0, we hide the physics. So those are very handy shortcuts. And you can also bind them to keys. Like for example, you can have a track that executes every frame, and that's looking for an input, and if the input is triggered, then it will trigger the command without having to modify your code or your game or whatever. You just put it in the file that you read only in the dev, like dev.ini that I use usually, and that file will contain all your debug code, all your debug commands, and that will not be part of your C++ code, and the game won't even know about it. It's just extra stuff that is loaded at runtime. So it's very versatile in that respect.
Right, well, run a bit over, but there's a lot there I can start writing up about. I think it's going to be difficult to sort of make separate things for this. I think it's just like a chapter that you work through to see all the kinds of things that the console can do.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very vast.
Definitely. Well, yeah, the console is just an entry point for all the commands, and you can do so many things with commands. So it's definitely an interesting topic.
It's console and commands, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like for example, if you want to toggle, instead of having to press D1 or D0 or anything like this, you can actually create a wall, an alias for a wall complex command. So the command could be get, it could be pushing the get of render, let's do the physics one, physics show debug. With the comma, we're separating commands now because we can put more than one commands in the same entry, so with a comma. So I'm getting that value. I'm going to push that value, but I'm going to do a not of that value. And now I'm going to set physics show debug with a new value. And actually, see that that command toggles entirely the... It's one command to do the toggle instead of having D0 and D1. And this can be an alias. So if you get D as an alias for the world thing, every time you execute D on the command, it will do the toggle.
So here's the other thing. It's probably the last question I've got is that I imagine that this can still be included in release mode. Is there a way that you can always make sure that all these, like the console,
Doesn't appear?
that you want to
Yes.
set up in the config is just completely gone if you were to compile for?
Yes, definitely. When if you look at the settings template, and if we look at the console, it will tell you like what we have. Like there's only like two properties. There's a scroll size. It's an amount of line that you scroll every time you move the mouse wheel. By default, it's 3 lines. And there is a toggle key, because below it you see that just alias name. So it just whatever you type is going to be an alias. So the toggle key, if you want to deactivate the console, what you have to do is just remove the toggle key. So when, if I go back here and in the console here, if I say toggle key, and if I say like this, it's actually going to remove the toggle key, and I won't be able to use the console at all. So if you make sure that no other user-defined preferences is loaded after that, and that you're the last one doing the toggle key, well, the console is not active and people cannot use it.
So in the same way, you can't switch on your profile because you don't have the console running.
Exactly. The console is completely deactivated if there's no key bound to it. So whenever you use a config for preferences for user, you have to make sure that you load them. Well, you load your base config first, then you load the user preferences, where is going to be able to, when they are going to be able to redefine things like, I don't know, like their inputs for the keys and things like this. And then you make sure you load all the values you want that the user cannot be trusted to change, so make sure that they are not trying to hack the game or things like this. You load that config last, so that even if they were trying to redefine behavior of your game, you're going to write them over them, and by doing so, you have the last word. So if in that second pass you do the console toggle key equals nothing, it means that the console will be deactivated, and even if they were trying to change the toggle key on the console, your setting will come after them and will overwrite whatever they put in their preference file.
That's all I had. That's a lot.
Well, don't hesitate if you have any other questions, and I'm happy to do this kind of video online anytime. It's just that I'm going to have some family coming to town for the next 3 weeks or so, so it's going to be harder for me until mid-November, I'd say early November, mid-November. But after that, I'm happy doing any kind of videos with questions, and of course anyone is welcome to join if they feel like it. I don't know if Nico is still here, but yeah, that was the console.
We'll find a better way of doing voice, I think.
Sure. Well, for the voice, actually, maybe we can try.
Very heavily delayed.
Yeah, I don't know if Twitch proposed anything, but yeah, we can look into it.
Yeah, I'll have a look around. It's easy for everyone.
Sounds good. Easy for everyone, we can use something like Discord, because Discord has a web page where people don't have even to register, and they can just come for just a session where we can create throwaway rooms. It's
Just fade it out.
oh, sorry. I was saying Discord is great for this kind of things, because you can create throwaway rooms and people don't even have to register. They can just use it from the web page, and that can have audio and things like this. Oh, okay.
So go to Discord, but yeah, I don't know if you can hear me still.
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. Discord and see if it's a good option. Certainly a good option. It would be good if people can just jump in without having to sign up or have accounts. I mean, if they have to, they have to. But see how we go.